Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? No? Yeah. Now? It's better? Okay, cool. So, great. It feels great. And my topic is Headless WordPress and REST API. I know that it sounds scary because when you guys hear the term headless, many of you will get some scary impressions like zombies or horror movies or something like that, right? Because headless sounds really scary. But when it comes to programming, it means a lot of different things. But we'll dive into that later. So let me give you a short introduction that which topics we are going to talk about today. That the headless systems, what it is actually, and the REST API system, tools, the boring topics, then the beautiful topic WordPress REST API, how you can deal with WordPress using REST and other things, and some other topics. But before going into that, let me start with a quote like today's fiction is tomorrow's fact. And who said that? Isaac Asimov. Who's that guy? Isaac Asimov? You guys know Isaac Asimov? The original quote was from Isaac Asimov. He's a fantastic science fiction writer. I modified it a little bit, so I thought it would be good to add my name. And it's Isaac Asimov. Anyway, let me take a minute first to introduce myself. I am Hasin Hayder, and I've been using WordPress since 2005. It's a long time. And I'm from Bangladesh. And those good old days when people usually knows only a few frameworks like struts or Spring in Java, or when it comes to PHP, then there will be default like Cake PHP, CodeIgniter, and people usually don't know any other frameworks. So those days were good because you didn't have a lot of options, isn't it? And that time, when WordPress was very limited that time. And can you guys hear me? Truly, from the backside? Okay. Yeah, that'll be better. All right, cool. So that time, I also wrote a book called WordPress Complete, and I'm really glad that I actually made that decision because it helped me a lot to learn the things behind the system and many things which I didn't know before writing that book. So it was WordPress 2 Complete, and I'm really, really glad that I made that decision. But that time, WordPress was very limited compared to current system, the 5.3 or something, the WordPress version running today's, because the theming API, the plugin API, it was very limited. And it was just like a bare bones system where you can just log in and write some post, publish it. But still, it was very challenging, and it was really beautiful. So we basically fall in love in WordPress with during that time. And you see that those days, fiction is today's fact. WordPress is still going very strong. So when we actually deal with headless system, it may sound scary, but the thing is, headless system, headless software, means that it doesn't have any default graphical user interface and GUI that you're not forced to use someone's GUI concept or someone's idea. It's all running behind the scene, and you'll have to deal with it via the terminal or the API. So headless systems are very lean. They are fatless, totally fatless, and though we all love our head, but headless system, when it comes to programming, is very good. I'll show you some things. And yeah, one of the main reasons behind choosing a headless system is you'll get full freedom of doing whatever way you'd like to make it work. Like, as I said, that if you don't like a part of the UI, or if you don't like a part of the system, the workflow, you have the full freedom to modify it, to make it work the way you want. That is the one of the core benefits of using the headless system. And it's very lean, that's fine. So into this topic, we're going to talk about the API. The API is another, the application programming interface and other things. So when you want to know more about a system, okay, then if you dive the APIs, the functions it offers, then you'll definitely get an idea how it works under the scene, how it works behind the system. So the more time you spend with APIs and other things, you'll get more idea about this whole system. So Albert Hasenstein once said that look deep into the API, not nature. Look deep into the API, and then you'll understand everything better, okay? And you should do that. So before diving into the WordPress REST API, let me talk about the thing REST API means. In technical terms, you may have heard that it means representational state transfer. But let me explain it in a very simple way. If you are standing in front of a house, for example, it has 100 doors. Think about it, that it has 100 doors. You enter through the main door, and you get options, like 10 doors. Some of those doors will lead you to a room that may have dead end, or it may have more rooms, more doors, which will lead you to another room. So it's basically a hierarchical system. In REST API, it's simply like that. Like if you, again, think about the house system, for example, if you enter the main door, then you see some doors talking about entertainment. Some doors are talking about sports. Some doors are talking about, has the label like whatever. So if you enter through the entertainment door, then you may get options like gaming, or maybe some music, or maybe some movies. Then if you enter through the door of gaming, you'll get the options of PS4, one door says PS4, one door says Xbox. But you'll get the discs. So you pick one Xbox disc, and you go through the PS4 door, and then you get kicked out because it's not working. These things, like just like the REST API system, like you are taking some data from one room, and you're going to another room to find if it works or not. But the thing is, you are always given some options. You know what to choose from. This is one of the most benefit of REST API. It's a very lean, not like a SOAP or other things. It's very, it tells you what to do, and other, it's very simple. So REST API works really good. And when you actually deal with REST API, you'll have to know some few basics like HTTP verbs, get, post, delete, patch, and other things. And just only a few terms, not much. Like, if you want to access a particular resource, you'll have to make a get call. If you want to update it, you'll make a post call. Okay? So if you want to create one, post. So tools you're going to need to work with API, definitely you need a head. Though you're dealing with a headless system, but you still need your head. And don't see WordPress, because only for the API, you need the tool Postman. This is a very good tool to simulate the system, to test the REST APIs and other things. So just for dealing with WordPress, you need the WordPress behind the scene and some plugins for authentication and authorization. Like I'll come to that later, like JWT authentication and other thing. But the tool you actually need is your head and the tool called Postman. So when you comes to the WordPress REST API, it's very simple. It's built into the system in current version. All you have to do is, let me show you. I made a simple installation. Are you familiar with this tool called Local by Flywheel? Local? Yeah, it's a very good tool to help you quickly deploy the development or staging version, or to sync data between sites. You can also pick your, for example, ABCD. just to show you what options you have. Like continue. And you can pick your tools like PHP versions and other thing. You can pick a web server, MySQL version, or MyDB, other thing. So it's a very good tool, and it deploys almost instantly. It's free. It's free. I'm not affiliated with these guys, but it's a very, very good tool. So I have deployed sample WordPress version here, and you can see that you can use the database, you can install SSL, utilities, and other things. But anyway, so the tool, the URL, it is the HLWP, the HLWP.local. Whatever your site name is, you see that there is a site domain, HLWP local. So whatever your domain is, you just go to your domain name /wp-json. And let me open the Postman, or no, let me open, show you here. So if you just hit HLWP-local wp-json, then you see all the available routes are displayed in front of you. You don't have to find anything. You don't have to search for anything. All the available routes that you can instantly go to are listed over there. So you can see the routes like posts. And what does it do? You can see all the available arguments. It's going to, offer is going to accept, and the methods, if it accepts post, then you'll see get and post, other things. It's very, very verbose. So if you just go to the WP-post, for example, let me show you. Yeah. So here, this is the admin panel. Just WP posts. So WP v2 posts, and the endpoint is listed here. Okay, you can see the WP v2 posts. So if you go to there, you can see that all those available posts are displayed, and with all these informations and other things, you can also get where to go from here, and you can also access one particular post like /1. It's by default. It's available by default. So it's very, very simple and very easy. And you see that this is basically a GET call. You're making a GET call. So if you want to update a post, you'll be able to make an post call. And let me show you another thing like here. So if I go to the backend system and I create like a custom post, let me show you. I use the custom field CPT UI plugin to quickly create some CPTs. You see here is one post called books. The only thing you need to do, you need to edit is the REST base. Show in REST API is true. Whenever you are creating the custom post and other things, all you have to do is make sure that you supply this variable to true and the REST API base slugs. If you don't supply any slug, you can access all those books like this here. So if your CPT slug is book, CPT register, if you register the CPT name as book, you can do that. If you change it as books, you can do it right from here, supplying by REST base. So as soon as you add any custom post or any custom taxonomies, everything will be available to your REST API right from here. And then the tough part comes when you want to edit something. When you want to edit something, then you'll have to authenticate yourself. That is where many people get stuck. How to authenticate yourself in a REST API system, because it's a stateless transfer system. It doesn't hold any information like if you're logged in or not. So let me show you one of the endpoints that needs authentication is WP-v2 users me, which tells which user is logged in at this moment. So if you send a call, it will tell you, this is Postman. This is where you can test all your API endpoints. It says that the REST not logged in. You are not currently logged in. So I'll have to log in. And if I want to log in, then I'll need some plugins like this one. No, this one. This one is very good. Once you have installed this plugin in your system, you can make calls like, let me show you token. You need a token. But before going to that, yep. One thing we need to understand the difference between authentication and authorization. Authentication is a procedure to identifying yourself. Many of us get confused when it comes to authentication versus authorization. Authorization is getting a permission, managing permission to edit something. And authentication is identifying yourself. For example, all of you are wearing this beautiful flyer. And it helps you to authenticate that you guys are authorized to access this room or that room. But you are not authorized to access any other rooms. Okay? You have authenticated yourself as a participant in WordCamp Kuala Lumpur, and then you are authorized to access this room and that room. So JWT, or JSON Web Token, is an authorization system. It's not an authentication system. It's an authorization. You identify yourself that I am the admin, or I am the user, or I am the author. Then I get authorization token or keys that I'll be able to edit this post, or I'll be able to edit taxonomies or anything. This is very important. You need to keep in mind that there's a huge difference between authentication and authorization. So once it is there, let me show you how to make authorized calls. This is very critical, and this is very you'll have to search a lot when you want to search about authentication using for JWT or authentication for REST API, WP REST API. This is very easy if you know. So all you have to do is install this plugin. This is a beautiful plugin, JWT authentication for WP REST API. Then all you have to do is hit this endpoint, okay? And you'll have to pass two variables. You'll have to make a post call. So you'll passing the username and password, and once you do that, you'll get the JSON Web Token. You are identifying yourself, and then you are getting the authorization token, this one. So copy it, and then come to any other call, validate, and send a bearer token that you are bearing this authorization. So just come here and headers. Authorization, you select the bearer token, and you pass that token, and you make the call, just to check if you are validated, if you have properly authorized yourself. Yes, it's a valid token. Now, that call, which was not authorized before, without this bearer token, if I go to this call, go to the auth section, add that bearer token I received from that token endpoint. If I make the call, I'll get, yes, admin is logged in. This token is serving the admin. So it's very easy. Let me show you again. You just go to this call. You install the plugin. You just go to this call, and you supply the username and password as form data post, and then you get the token. And for next every other calls, you add that token as a bearer token. Just go to the auth section, get or post, and then you see that you are authenticated. You are authorized to make this call. So anyway, let me create a post using this authorized call. So what I'm going to do is I'll have to hit this URL, WP v2 posts. If I make a get call, it will list all the available posts. But if I make a post call, then I'll have to pass the bearer token. I did that. I also passed some form data like title, format, content. I make a call. Yes, it gives me the ID. It has been created right now. And if I go to the backend system, let me show you the admin panel, where the GUI is, just to test if it is created. Yes. All posts. you can see that, yeah, it has been created, okay? But it is in draft mode. So if you want to edit it, you got the ID in previous call, like 12. So all you have to do is make a call to post/12. Let me update the post. And let me change its status, like 12. 12. I am changing the, yeah. Preference, themes. Is it okay? Okay. So I'm going to the post that I just created, 12, and then I'm passing some parameters here. The status is publish. If I send it, you see that post will be published. Yeah. So the post status is now published. Now, if I come to the backend system to just check, if I refresh it, I can see that it has been published. It's very easy. All you have to do is authenticate yourself, get the token, and then pass the token as a bearer token to every other call to make an authenticated call. Now, let me show you another thing. If you want to update an image, for example, to create a media type post, just if I go to this media section, you see there are no medias at this moment. Yeah, no media at this moment. But if I make an authenticated call again, all I have to do is come to the postman. So here, and I'll have to add WP Media. But where I'm getting these URLs, all these URLs are basically coming from this thing, the routes. If you just hit WP JSON, you're getting every routes from here, every available routes. So anyway, if I make a call, let me make a call. Here's a very important thing. If you want to upload blobs, if you want to upload binary files using REST API, then all you have to do is go to the body section, and you must name the variable as file. It's a case-sensitive name, so it has to be like that. Then file name, send it, for example. It's very easy. Sending the request, yes. Now, if I come to the admin panel and refresh this page, I can see the image has been uploaded using REST API. It's very, very easy. Now, back to our slide. So now we know how to make the authorized requests. But one thing you need to keep note that JSON Web Tokens is for authorization that I already told you, and it will expire from time to time. So you will have to make that token call. Again, you'll have to authenticate yourself from time to time. When you see that your calls is not passing through or your calls are not making any sense, then you'll have to authenticate yourself again to get a refreshed token. And then you'll pass that token again to make authorized calls. And every JSON token is contains three things: header, payload, and signature. If you paste any JSON token in this URL, jwt.io/debugger, here's the debugger. You see that here's the header part, here is the payload, which user is logged in, and other thing. It contains information. It contains valid information. Now, so one thing that will you'll actually find that Google and Stack Overflow, but you'll have to find a lot of things, because this REST API, when it was introduced since 2015, it has been evolving a lot and it has been changing a lot. So you'll probably have to Google a lot and find many posts from Stack Overflow to get the correct answer. That is one of the pain when you deal with the WordPress REST API. But you also have this book in your hand, like developer.wordpress.org/REST API, where you'll get all the necessary information to deal with WordPress REST API. And so you need basically REST API handbook, the JWT authentication plugins, and definitely you need to think how to make it work like that. So that's mainly it. And if you have any questions about the REST API systems or any other things, you can definitely shoot me a mail or contact me anytime. No problem. Thank you.